The blood wouldn't wash off her hands. Aria Chen stood over the unconscious man on her makeshift operating table, her fingers steady despite the fear coursing through her veins, and realized this was the moment everything changed. 3 hours ago, she was just a nurse trapped in a contract with a mafia lord. Now, she was saving the life of a man someone tried to kill, while Damien Volkov, the cold, untouchable billionaire who owned her for the next year, held surgical retractors with hands that should know how to be gentle. "More light there," she commanded, and he obeyed without question. This wasn't supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to stay. He wasn't supposed to spend 3 hours at her side, following her orders, trusting her completely. He wasn't supposed to look at her like she was the only person in the world who mattered. And she definitely wasn't supposed to feel her heart skip when their eyes met over the patient's body. Welcome back to Sold to the Mafia Lord as Payment, but she made him obsessed with her. I'm your host, and if you thought episodes 1 and 2 were intense, you haven't seen anything yet. Because tonight, Aria crosses a line she can never uncross. Tonight, she discovers what Damien really needs her for, and it's not just to look pretty at galas. Tonight, she becomes useful in ways that blur every boundary she's tried to maintain. And the most dangerous part? She's starting to like it. If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. Aria Chen's father died owing millions to Damien Volkov, Seoul's most powerful and mysterious businessman. To pay the debt, Aria signed a contract. 1 year as Damien's companion, his to command, trapped in a gilded cage of wealth and secrets. But what started as captivity is becoming something far more complicated. Because the man who owns her contract is starting to want something money can't buy, her trust, her respect, her genuine presence in his isolated world. And tonight, when Aria saves a dying man with Damien's steady hands assisting her every move, when she sees behind the mask of the cold mafia lord to the burdened, lonely man underneath, tonight, she realizes the most terrifying truth of all. She's starting to care about her captor. In this episode, you'll witness the moment that changes everything. The surgery that reveals who Damien really is. The dinner party where Aria lets her guard down. And the late-night conversation in a hallway where two people trapped in impossible circumstances admit they want something neither of them should want. Connection. So smash that like button and subscribe, because what happens next will leave you breathless. Aria's hands were steady as she organized the medical supplies in the newly converted facility, a pristine room on the estate's ground floor that had been transformed into something between a private clinic and an emergency treatment center. Suture kits for stands, sterilization equipment, medications that made her raise her eyebrows at their potency. Everything a trauma nurse might need, hidden behind elegant doors in a mansion. She was labeling medication drawers when Katia entered, her expression tense. "We have a situation," Katia said without preamble. "One of Damien's business partners had an accident. He needs medical attention that can't go through official channels." Aria's stomach dropped. What kind of accident? The kind you don't ask questions about. "He'll be here in 20 minutes. Damien wants you ready." This was it. The moment Aria had been dreading since signing that contract. The line between her nursing oath and her current reality, about to be crossed. Welcome back to Sold to the Mafia Lord as Payment, but she made him obsessed with her. If you're just joining us, Aria Chen has been living as Damien Volkov's contracted companion for 3 weeks now, navigating a world of wealth and secrets. But tonight, her nursing skills are about to be tested in ways she never imagined. If you haven't seen episodes 1 and 2, links are in the description. Go catch up, because what happens tonight changes everything between Aria and Damien. And if you're already hooked on the story, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss episode 4. Trust me, after tonight, there's no going back. Now let's see what happens when Aria has to choose between her principles and survival. 20 minutes later, 2 men carried an unconscious figure through the service entrance. The injured man was maybe 40, well-dressed despite the blood soaking through his shirt. His breathing was shallow, his face pale. "Put him on the table," Aria commanded, her training overriding her fear. "Carefully. Support his head." Damien appeared in the doorway, his usual composure slightly frayed. Can you help him? Aria was already cutting away the blood-soaked shirt, revealing a deep laceration across the man's abdomen. Not a stab wound. Too irregular. Something had torn the flesh. What happened?
He fell. Construction site accident.
Damien's tone made it clear this was the only story anyone would tell. He needs a hospital. Possibly surgery. This is beyond my... No hospitals. Damien's voice was firm. You're what he has, Miss Chen.
Can you do this or not?
Aria looked at the unconscious man, at the wound that was serious but potentially manageable, at Damien's intense stare. She thought about her nursing oath.
About do no harm.
About how refusing to help was its own form of harm. I need better light. And someone with steady hands to assist me. This is going to take hours. I'll assist, Damien said immediately. I've seen worse. Tell me what you need. The next 3 hours blurred together in controlled chaos. Aria cleaned the wound, discovering it was deep but had missed major organs. Luck or divine intervention, she couldn't say. She irrigated, debrided, sutured layer by layer with Damien holding retractors, handing her instruments, following her rapid-fire instructions without question. More light there, she directed. Hold that steady. Don't move. Damien's hands were surprisingly steady for someone who spent his days in boardrooms. He didn't flinch at the blood, didn't question her decisions, simply did exactly what she asked. Where did you learn this? Aria asked during a brief pause to change gloves. My father believed in practical education. I spent a summer with a trauma surgeon when I was 19. He thought I should understand the physical consequences of the business world. Damien's voice was flat, emotionless. I hated every minute of it, but the skills stayed. Your father sounds delightful. He was many things. Delightful wasn't one of them. Aria returned to her work, carefully closing the deepest layer of tissue. The patient's vital signs had stabilized, blood pressure improving, breathing more regular. He'd lost blood, but not catastrophically. With proper care and antibiotics, he'd survive. He's going to need monitoring, Aria said as she placed the final external sutures. Infection is the biggest risk now. Someone needs to check on him every 4 hours, watch for fever, change dressings daily. You'll do it, Damien said. I have other responsibilities. This is your responsibility now. Those social events?
Secondary.
This. He gestured at the patient. This is why you're really here. The weight of that statement settled over Aria like a shroud. She wasn't decorative after all. She was functional. A pet nurse for Damien's world of beautiful people with ugly problems. Who is he? She asked quietly. Does it matter? It matters to me. I just spent 3 hours saving his life. I'd like to know whose life I saved. Damien was silent for a long moment then. His name is Jean Tiang. He's a financial consultant who helps move money between countries. Someone didn't want him completing his current assignment. They arranged an accident at his construction site. Loose scaffolding, convenient timing. Someone tried to kill him. Yes. And you're protecting him. I'm protecting my investment. Taeyong handles sensitive accounts. If he dies, complicated situations become more complicated. Damien began cleaning up the medical waste. This is my world, Miss Chen. People die over numbers on screens. Money is the only thing more valuable than life itself to some people. That's horrible. That's reality. He looked at her directly. You can hate it. You can judge me for participating in it. But don't pretend to be surprised. You knew what you were agreeing to. I knew abstractly. This is different. This is real blood, real danger, real consequences.
Yes.
And you just proved you can handle it. Something like respect flickered in his eyes. You were remarkable, Miss Chen. Calm, focused, skilled. You saved his life without hesitation once you committed to trying. The compliment shouldn't have warmed her. But after 3 hours of intense work, exhausted and emotionally drained, Aria felt it anyway. I'm a nurse. It's what I do.
No.
You're a trauma nurse working in an illegal clinic for a man you barely know, saving someone whose identity you shouldn't learn. That's considerably more than what you do. Damien moved closer, his voice softening. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't make me do this often. I can't promise that. Taeyong was moved to a private recovery room. Apparently the estate had several, which said disturbing things about how often this happened. Aria set up a monitoring schedule, showed the household staff how to take vitals, and prepared detailed instructions for his care. By the time she finished, dawn was breaking. Aria stumbled to her room, still wearing blood-stained scrubs, and collapsed on her bed without bothering to shower. She woke to someone knocking. Groggily, she called, "Come in." Katia entered with a tray. "It's 3 p.m. You slept through breakfast and lunch. Thought you might be hungry." Aria sat up, every muscle protesting. "How's the patient?" "Stable. Following your instructions exactly. You did good work last night." Katia set the tray on the bedside table. "My brother was impressed. That's not easy to achieve." "I'm not trying to impress him, which is precisely why you do." Katia moved to leave, then paused. "A word of advice, Miss Chen. Be careful. Damien is starting to see you as more than a contractual obligation. That could be dangerous for both of you. He sees me as useful. That's all. Keep telling yourself that." Katia's smile was knowing. "I've known my brother his entire life. I've never seen him assist in medical procedures.
He has people for that.
But last night, he insisted on being the one helping you. Ask yourself why." After Katia left, Aria picked at the food, her mind churning. She didn't want to think about why Damien had stayed, why he'd held retractors for 3 hours without complaint, why his hands had been so steady while hers had wanted to shake. She especially didn't want to think about the moment near the end, when she'd looked up and found him watching her with something that looked almost like wonder. Over the next few days, Aria split her time between monitoring Taeyang's recovery and accompanying Damien to various events. The patient healed well. No infection, wound closing properly, vitals stable. He woke on the 3rd day, groggy but alive. "You're the nurse," he said when Aria came to check his dressings. "They said you saved my life. I just did my job. In this world, that's more than most people do." Taeyang's eyes were intelligent, assessing. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Someone harder. Someone who'd learn not to care." He studied her face. "You still care. That's dangerous here." "So, I've been told. Listen to those warnings, Miss Chen. This world, Damien's world, it doesn't reward softness. It consumes it." Aria changed his dressings in silence, considering his words. Everyone kept warning her about Damien, about this world, about danger. But what choice did she have? The contract was binding. The year had to pass. That evening, Damien requested her presence in his office, the first time she'd been invited into his private space. The room was exactly what she expected. Dark wood, expensive furniture, walls lined with books and art. A massive desk dominated the space, covered in papers and multiple computer screens. "You wanted to see me?" Aria asked from the doorway.
Come in. Seat.
Damien gestured to a chair across from his desk. "We need to discuss something." Aria sat, her guard immediately up. If this is about Taeyong, he's healing well. Another week and... It's not about Taeyong. Damien leaned back in his chair, studying her. Yuki Park's dinner is tomorrow night. Small gathering, very private. She specifically requested you attend. I assumed I'd go wherever you go. This is different. Yuki's gatherings are intimate. Real conversations, real people.
No performances.
His expression was hard to read. She likes you. That's rare. Yuki doesn't like many people. Is that a problem? It's unexpected. But no, not a problem. Actually, it's beneficial. Yuki has connections throughout Seoul's art world. Her approval means something. So, I should go and be charming? I'm asking if you want to go. This isn't contractually required. It's optional. The idea that anything in her current life was optional seemed almost funny. But Aria thought about Yuki's kind smile, her genuine warmth. A dinner with real conversations sounded infinitely better than another gala.
Yes.
I'd like to go. Something flickered across Damien's face. Satisfaction, maybe. Good. It'll be casual. Wear something comfortable. Comfortable.
Right.
I'm sure my closet full of designer clothes has something casual. The sarcasm escaped before Aria could stop it. Damien's lips twitched. Almost a smile. There should be jeans. Claudia was instructed to include normal clothes, not just event wear. Claudia takes instructions from you about my wardrobe. Claudia takes instructions from me about everything. That's her job. He returned his attention to his computer screens. That's all. You can go. Aria stood, but hesitated at the door. Can I ask you something? You can ask. Why did you help? With tying surgery. You could have sent anyone to assist me. Why you? Damien was quiet for so long Aria thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because I needed to know if you'd really do it. If you'd actually help someone without knowing who they were or what they'd done. If your nursing oath was stronger than your fear. And you proved it was. That kind of integrity is rare, Miss Chen. I wanted to witness it firsthand. He looked up at her. Also, I don't trust anyone else in this house the way I trust myself. If something had gone wrong, I wanted to be there. To protect your investment? To protect you. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Aria's heart did something complicated in her chest. I can protect myself, she said quietly. I'm sure you can. Doesn't mean you should have to. Aria left before she could say something she'd regret, her mind spinning. This was exactly what Claudia had warned her about. Damien was starting to see her as more than a contract. And worse, much worse, she was starting to see him as more than her captor. The next evening, Aria dressed in dark jeans and a soft cashmere sweater. Designer, of course, but at least not a gown. She left her hair down, wore minimal makeup. If this was supposed to be casual and real, she'd be as close to herself as possible. Damien appeared in khakis and a button-down shirt, looking younger and more relaxed than she'd seen him. For a moment, they could have been a normal couple heading to dinner with friends. Except nothing about this was normal. Yuki's home was in Hanamdong, smaller than Damien's estate, but beautifully designed. Warm lighting, comfortable furniture, art everywhere. Music played softly in the background, something jazz and smooth. Damien and Aria. Yuki greeted them with genuine warmth, hugging them both. I'm so glad you came. Come, meet everyone. The gathering was intimate, maybe 10 people total. Yuki introduced them around. An author, a musician, a chef with her own restaurant, a professor of literature. People who created things, thought about ideas, lived lives outside the business world Aria had been navigating. No shop talk tonight, Yuki announced. I want real conversation. Art, life, philosophy. Anything but money and deals. Dinner was served family-style around a large wooden table. The food was incredible. The chef had prepared it herself, and the conversation flowed naturally. Aria found herself relaxing, actually enjoying the evening. So Aria, the author, Masio, asked, Yuki says you're a nurse? How did you end up in Damien's orbit? Aria felt Damien tense slightly beside her. She chose her words carefully. I was looking for a change. Private nursing pays better than hospital work, and the hours are more flexible. But don't you miss it? The professor asked. The hospital work? The sense of purpose. Every day, Aria admitted honestly. But sometimes we make choices based on necessity rather than preference. Spoken like someone who understands the real world, Minasio said approvingly. Most of the people in our social circles have never had to make hard choices. Everything has always been easy. Except it hasn't, the musician, Jay, interjected. Everyone struggles. Rich people just hide it better behind nice clothes and expensive therapy. This sparked a debate about privilege and hardship that lasted through 3 courses. Aria mostly listened, fascinated by how freely these people shared opinions, challenged each other, laughed together. At one point, Yuki touched her arm. You're quiet. What do you think? I think suffering isn't a competition. Everyone's pain is valid, regardless of their bank account. but resources definitely make it easier to cope. Aria glanced at Damien. Though sometimes money creates its own kind of prison. Interesting metaphor, Damien said softly, his eyes meeting hers. What kind of prison? The kind where you're trapped by expectations. Where you can't be human because too many people depend on you being perfect. Where showing vulnerability feels like weakness. Aria didn't break eye contact. Where you're surrounded by people but utterly alone. The table had gone quiet, everyone watching this exchange. Yuki cleared her throat.
Well,
that got deep quickly. Dessert, anyone? The moment broke, conversation resuming. But Aria felt Damien's gaze on her throughout dessert, felt the weight of words unspoken. After dinner, people migrated to the living room. Jay played guitar, others sang along. It was warm and genuine, and everything Aria's current life wasn't. She stepped outside onto Yuki's balcony, needing air and space. The night was cool, Seoul's lights spreading below like fallen stars. Running away from the party, Damien's voice came from behind her. Just needed a moment. Aria didn't turn around. This is nice. Normal. I'd forgotten what normal felt like. Is that what you miss most? Normal. I miss choosing my own life. Going to work, coming home, knowing my choices were mine. She finally looked at him. Do you ever miss having choices? I have choices. I chose this life.
did you?
Or did your father choose it for you? Damien moved to stand beside her, leaning on the balcony railing. You're getting bold, Miss Chen. Most people don't question me about my father. Most people aren't trapped in a year-long contract with you. I figure I've earned some boldness. He laughed, a real laugh that transformed his serious face. Fair point. To answer your question, yes and no. My father set the path, but I chose to walk it. I could have run, could have built something different. But this empire, these responsibilities, they're mine now. I own them. Don't you ever want something else? Something that's just yours, not inherited. Damien was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the city. Sometimes, late at night, when the contracts are signed and the deals are done, I wonder what life would look like if I'd chosen differently. But then morning comes, and the reality is still there. The empire still needs managing. The people depending on me still need protecting. That sounds exhausting. It is. Which is why nights like this, genuine people, real conversation, someone who asks difficult questions, matter more than you know. He turned to look at her fully. Thank you, by the way. For what? For being real. For not pretending tonight. For asking questions no one else would dare ask. Before Aria could respond, Yuki appeared in the doorway. There you two are. Come back inside. We're playing games and I need Aria on my team. She looks competitive. The rest of the evening was lighter. Silly games, more laughter, the kind of fun Aria hadn't experienced in months. When they finally left around midnight, she felt more like herself than she had since signing that contract. In the car, Damien asked, "Did you enjoy yourself?" "Very much. Thank you for bringing me." "You don't have to thank me. Yuki invited you specifically. I was just the transportation." Still, it was nice. Feeling human for a few hours. Damien's jaw tightened. You're always human, Miss Chen. Don't let this situation make you forget that. Back at the estate, Aria headed for her room, but found Damien following her. Is something wrong? She asked.
No.
He seemed uncertain, which was so unlike him that Aria stopped walking. What you said earlier, about prisons made of expectations.
You were talking about me.
I was talking about a concept. You were talking about me, he repeated. And you weren't wrong. I am trapped by this life in ways people don't see. The difference is I built my own cage. You didn't build yours. I did that for you. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve honesty. Because you give it freely, and I should return the favor. Damien ran a hand through his hair, a rare display of frustration. Because you're making me question things I haven't questioned in years. That's not my job.
No.
Your job is to smile at galas and patch up inconvenient injuries. But you're doing something else entirely. He stepped closer. You're making me remember what it feels like to want something beyond the next deal. To want connection. Aria's breath caught. They were standing too close, the hallway too quiet, the moment too charged. Damien. She started, not knowing how to finish. I'm not going to apologize for it, he said quietly. For wanting to know you beyond the contract. For enjoying your company. For looking forward to conversations where someone actually challenges me. I should keep my distance. It would be smarter. But I'm finding I don't want to. This is a terrible idea. Absolutely terrible. He smiled slightly. Your contract ends in 10.5 months. Until then, you're technically mine. But what if we made it more bearable? For both of us. What are you suggesting? That we stop pretending this is purely transactional. That we acknowledge we're two people stuck in an unusual situation and maybe we could be something like friends.
Friends.
The word felt simultaneously too small and too dangerous. Friends don't own each other, Aria pointed out. Then maybe I stop thinking of it as ownership, and you stop thinking of it as captivity. Maybe we just exist together, as equals, as much as this situation allows. Aria searched his face, looking for manipulation or strategy. She found only sincerity, and something that looked like hope. I can try that, she said slowly. But Damien, I need you to understand something. I'm here because I have no choice. That doesn't mean I hate you, but it doesn't mean I trust you either. Trust has to be earned. Then I'll earn it. He stepped back, giving her space. Good night, Miss Chen. Thank you for tonight. Aria, she said impulsively. If we're going to be friends, you should call me Aria. His smile was genuine and reached his eyes. Good night, Aria. She watched him walk away, her heart doing complicated things. This was dangerous. This was exactly what she shouldn't want. But as she lay in bed that night, replaying the evening and that conversation, Aria couldn't deny the truth. She was starting to see Damien Volkov not as her captor, but as a person. A complicated, burdened, isolated person who somehow made her feel less alone. And that realization terrified her more than anything else in this strange new world. If you're loving this story of two people trapped in impossible circumstances, don't forget to like and subscribe. Because episode 4 is where everything we've built crashes down. What happens when Aria discovers the truth about her father's death? When she learns that Damien has been hiding secrets that could destroy everything between them? Comment below with your thoughts on Damien and Aria's relationship. Is he genuine, or is this just another manipulation? Find out in the next episode, and trust me, you're not ready for what's coming.